What's going on, guys? This is Kaishiro. Welcome back. So we are back with another Uncrowned Kings local metagame report video. So in this video, we're going to tackle the topping deck list from August 1 to August 14. So 2 week span of tournament reports and data. So without further ado, let's get started. At first, we have tabletop ka po, ranking tournament. On August 2, we have the champion of tabletop ka po, Martin Alcantara, using his Drytron. So, Drytron has been kinda under the radar for a very long time, no? We don't see Drytron that much or any Drytron traps lately. But I can tell that this Drytron has some spice. It plays Megalith package on it. And it's definitely interesting to know what are the combo lines on this deck and what are the win conditions of this deck using this Drytron Megalith deck list. So congrats to him. And then next we have Joshua Oriano with purely second place. So this purely runs the Dark World package as discard fathers on this list. Many players, especially on Japan, doesn't play purely like this way. They opt to play more hand traps and more utility cards over the Dark World discard package. So I think it's a fresh air of purely when we can see that purely can still play the Dark World package to have discard fathers. But nonetheless, a pretty neat deck list from Joshua Oriano of our Kaido list. And the next we have Arcanium Hobbies local tournament. We have first place DERYAN, another purely. So this is what I'm talking about. Many purely players are not playing the Dark World package anymore or any more discard fathers like the Volcanic Shell and those the Crystal Beast trap card and Eagle. So yeah, they now play more hand traps and utility cards like Talents and consistency cards as well like Desires and Prosperity to boost the consistency because now they only have one Sleepy Memory. So they are trying to make up for the consistency that they have lost on the previous ban list. And then next we have Paducah weekly tournament. First here we have Branded Bestial. So a pretty standard deck list of Branded Bestial. Place Ghost Ogre on the main deck. I'm not too sure about that. Ghost Ogre has been pretty underwhelming for me for the most part on our recent format this July. So yeah, I don't know about that, but pretty solid list here. And then next we have Subterror. Wow. So Subterror can still top even this date on 2023. Subterror can definitely top by just playing those powerful trap cards like Solemn Strike and Solemn Judgment and those floodgates like Gozen Match, there can be only one, and Summon Limit. So yeah, you can have a very hard time dealing against with this deck if you don't have the back row outs. Especially players now are not respecting back row enough. They are not including Cosmic Cyclone and Lightning Storm on their side deck anymore lately. So yeah, I can see the world where Subterror can definitely top locals tournaments. And then next we have Kashtira. My goodness, I don't know what to say. I think Kashtira has been very subpar for the most part because they have lost Fenrir. They don't have the one card combo now using the Fenrir. You need to have 2 cards to be able to do just something on this Kashtira deck list. But yeah, I think Kashtira Arise Heart is a very powerful card. We can never ignore the Walking Macrocosmos and the non-targeting banish this card has. So yeah, I think Kashtira can still top on weekly basis on smaller tournaments. And the next we have another tabletop ka po, ranking tournament. We have Jules Soriano Tearlaments. So this Tearlaments doesn't play the Sinful Spoils engine. I wonder if Sinful Spoils Tearlaments is really the best version of Tearlaments now because there's also Scareclaw Visas Tearlaments and there's also Horus Tearlaments and Adventurer Tearlaments as well. So this guy begged to differ and played just the usual and basic build of Tearlaments. But I'm glad that he did make the first place on this tournament. And then next we have another top from Joshua Oriano with his purely, I think it is the same deck profile. Plays the insane card from Agov, the SB Little Knight, a very powerful card. I don't know what Konami is thinking on printing this card, to be honest. And then next we have Kerwin Lee with Rescue Ace. Doesn't play the Sinful Spoils. Oh, he does play it, I guess. Only the Searcher for the level 1. Doesn't play the Diabellest Star Witch and the Quick Play. So yeah, pretty interesting list from Kerwin Lee. And then next we have Gian Gascon with Trap Tricks. So I think Trap Tricks has been a very solid budget deck. Over here in the Philippines, you just need to buy 3 copies of Structure deck and you're pretty much good to go. You just need to buy some Ash Blossom and some Imperm and then evenly match and then you're good to go. And next, we have Devil's Lair YGO local tournament. At first here we have Dragon Link. So Dragon Link won the World Championship, so it speaks volume on how tough this deck is. Even without Chaos Ruler on the World's ban list, the deck managed to top. And also one Wyver Buster, White Wyver Buster, this light monster. I forgot the name. Yeah, only one of that and still managed to top. I don't know if Konami will hit the Dragon Link on the next ban list this October. But I guess Chaos Ruler would get banned if they decide to touch the deck. Or Seyfert will go into one. Who knows? I think Dragon Link is still a very good deck. And then next we have the Sinful Spoils Rescue Ace. So this is what I'm talking about. This is the full power Rescue Ace right now. I think this is the best deck on the format. With Sinful Spoils, the deck got more consistent and very resilient as well. They now have a lot of plays to start their plays on this list. You can just use the Sinful Spoils package to summon out your Turbulence, or rather the Hydrant, and you can just search for the Airlifter and begin your plays from there. So very strong deck. And then next we have Rika. So I think Rika is a very underrated rogue deck on OCG at least, because on TCG this is a very popular rogue deck for them. On OCG we have Maxi, so yeah, I think it's a little bit different, but for me Rika is a very powerful deck with Rika contributing for cost. There's not many of decks that can counter that, to be honest. So this is a pretty solid deck list for me. And then next we have Akard weekly tournament report. We have Irdan here, favorite deck on the tournament, using DDD, a very strong combo deck as well. And then next we have Virtual World from Dito. Doesn't play the trap card of the Mayakashi and the transaction rollback. That's been the trend for Virtual World for the most part lately, because they're turboing out Beatrice so that they can fetch the trap cards, the Mayakashi trap and the transaction rollback, so that they can use the effect of Mayakashi trap on the opponent's turn to limit the moves of your opponent on that moment. So this guy, Beg to Differ, plays the Adventurer package. Very interesting. And a lot of extra deck cards as well are very spicy on this. And he plays the Calamity, I see. So he is going to the Calamity route to stun his opponent as well. And plays Jinzo, very interesting. Maybe his locals are what do you call this? Dominated by LABRYN or any other trap decks. And then next we have Trap Tricks. Oh, so we have our second Trap Tricks here on this report. So it proves to be how good Trap Tricks is on the current format, but this time with LABRYN. So he capitalizes on playing LABRYN using the new areas to enable his trap cards as early as possible on this list. And I can see that this is a very budget list. He doesn't play Imperm and only plays the Raigeki in Featherstorm on the main deck. It's interesting as well. I think this is a very budget deck from Nofal. Especially Arias have plummeted the price of this card. At first, it's been roughly 800 pesos or 1,000 pesos. But yeah, over the time, the price got decreased. It's only now 100 pesos. So yeah. And next we have Arcanium Hobbies tournament. At first, we have LABRYN. So, yeah, LABRYN is a very solid deck. Probably top 5 deck right now in the format. The only issue on LABRYN for me is LABRYN players are still not solved yet on the LABRYN decklist, whether they play without the Arias or they play with Arias. So, it's been a debate for me if they will go to the Arias route or play with the usual furniture and hand trap LABRYN. The advantage of having Arias is they will have access to trap truck and powerful trap cards here. We have trap trick rather, and other powerful trap cards here like Dogmatica Punishment and then a Pointer of Red Lotus. So there's a value on playing the Arias, but I don't know if that outweighs the furniture standard LABRYN. I'm pretty skeptical about that as well. And then next we have Order of the Duelist in Albay. So tournament in Albay. Shoutouts to our Albay friends here on our channel. And first we have champion Mark Stephen. So this is also a player from Duelist. So he plays purely only one discard fodder with Shadal Beast. I kinda understand that you don't want to play Garnets on this deck anymore. You are pretty much fine with hand traps and consistency cards. And then next we have Ivan Joff with Tearlament's Feet, Revo Synchron. So standard decklist of Tearlaments again, no sinful spoils. So I think Tearlaments players in the country, in the Philippines, are still figuring out how to run the sinful spoils package on the deck correctly at this moment. And we have second runner-up Troy with another Tearlaments. So a pretty standard decklist as well. Nothing too spicy on this one, but probably works the best for him. And then next we have Angelo James with Vanquishol. So Vanquishol rise on popularity lately. I think Vanquishol is a pretty solid deck. For me, it is a top 5 deck right now in the format. And I think this is a very good deck for good players, for skilled players on the game. I think this deck will reward their skills because this is a very technical deck. And then next, we have Yu-Gi-Oh! Community Submalice, another tabletop gapo tournament. Archon Anime Retro Convention Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament. We have another top here from Joshua Oriano, so he's been dominating lately on their local scene, this time with Vanquishol. So place the Sinful Spoils engine on the deck. It's very interesting. I think it gives you more ceiling on the deck, and it also gives you dark reveal targets for the Vanquishol as well. Using the Diabellest Star Witch, it is a dark archetype, or rather dark attribute, if I'm not mistaken, and also plays a lot of hand traps on this deck, and even good going second cards. We have Dogoran here, we have Kurikara as his fire reveals. So yeah, pretty solid decklist from Joshua Oriano. And then next we have Spencer Santilla, another Duelist member with Kashtira. So this is what I'm talking about. Kashtira is still a deck to reckon with Arise Heart Pass. I think it's a pretty solid option right now in the format. Especially we now have a lot of graveyard interactions from the form of Sinful Spoils, and we also have Tearlaments, and we also have the Earth Good stuff. So Arise Heart is very much live on the current format. And then next we have top from Martin Alcantara with his Drytron. So it also plays the Megalith package. I think it's the same decklist from earlier, if I'm not mistaken. And then next we have Nicole Santos, 4th place, LABRYN with no Arias. This is what I'm saying earlier. LABRYN players are still not solved on playing Arias on their deck. And then next we have Kerwin Lee, Rescue Ace. So I don't know what the proxy card right now on his decklist, but he doesn't play the Sinful Spoils, only the card that search it. I see. Very interesting. Plays Artifact Lansea on the side deck. I think this is a very solid option right now on the side deck because Artifact Lansea devastates Rescue Ace, to be honest. Turbulence needs to banish cards, enable to resolve its effect. So Artifact Lansea is a huge deal against Rescues. And then next we have Chandra, KG's Card Shop, Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament. At first here we have another tier elements, so as we can see, tier elements is very much alive on the OCG format. I don't know when is the time will players feel tired of this deck. I think tier elements players will never get tired of playing tier elements, to be honest. Look at this deck list. Very astonishing deck list. Plays the Sinful Spoils package as well, and the Fairy Tail Snow. So we already have seen how insane this Fairy Tail Snow is on the Master Duel portion of the World Championship, with Jesse Cotton outplaying his opponent using the Fairy Tail Snow on that game against the semifinals, I guess, or finals, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, Fairy Tail Snow is a very insane card on tier elements. And then next, we have Farian's Card Gamer Chant weekly tournament. Champion here we have Adamant Spader, Earth Good Stuff. So this deck is still relevant. I guess this is one of the most explosive decks right now in the format. If this deck is not interrupted, it can really do a huge board with IP Mascarena, Barone, and Savage, and Dragite. So there's a lot of options, even Apollousa and SP Little Knight. So this is a very powerful combo deck, and if it doesn't get maxied or something like Droll, it will really snowball out of control. And then next we have Anan, another combo deck here from Anan. He plays Spiral. So yeah, Spiral is a thing of the past. It is one of the most feared tier 0 decks from before, but Spiral can still top, no? We can see Spiral tops from every month, I guess. Spiral is still a very relevant combo deck, but not that popular anymore. And then next we have Pakuwon Mall weekly tournament, Toys and Hobbies. We have here Zephyra, Endymion, if I'm correct. Another combo deck. So we have seen the resurgence of combo deck lately. We have the Sinful Spoils Adventurer Tenyi, Rose Tenyi, and other decks like Sinful Spoils Adventurer Synchron. So I think combo players have been feeling alive and passionate right now in the format. They're very encouraged to play combo decks because they're seeing tops of combo decks lately, relevant tops at that extent. And then next we have Trains here, Machina Trains with DERYAN package. So this deck is very strong, I assume. It can go first with that DERYAN, providing Omni Negate, and it can pretty much go second with options here like Droll and Nibiru and Droplet and Lightning Storm and TTT on the main deck. I think this is a pretty versatile deck. And then next we have Punk. So Punk Bestial. I think this deck can really do some huge board as well with Cheng Ying and then Barone and then the Dispater and also Chaos Angel. So yeah, you can definitely make somewhat relevant and considerable board using the Bestials. And also Bestials are very good against tier elements, which is a tier 1 deck right now in the format. So I don't blame players for picking up something like a Bestial Synchron here or Bestial Punk. And then next we have Rika. So Rika has been a very stable deck on the World Championship. I assume there are 2 Rika tops on the top 8 of the World Championship. One is from Jessica Robinson, and I don't know who is the another Rika player on the top 8 of the World Championship recently. But yeah, it speaks volume on how relevant this deck is, especially on a format where there's no maxi. And then next, we have Arcanium Hobbies again. First place we have GOBZ Rescue Ace with Sinful Spoils, and this time he plays the Mechavis Phantom Olayon and the Jet Synchron. On this list, he used the Synchron package to protect his board from something like Duster, Evenly, and Lightning Storm. It is also notable on that regard, being able to summon Barone and Dragster and Savage. It really gives you more room for errors because you now have Omni Negates to work around. But I always prioritize playing Proxy F Magician and Mad Dragon, Fusion Mad Dragon on Rescues, because for me, resolving Turbulence is the bread and butter of the deck. You need to protect your Turbulence from resolving. You need to avoid getting Imperm, getting Veilered on your Turbulence. So yeah, I'm pretty much of a play safe duelist. So I prefer that playstyle on Rescues right now. And then next we have second place Mike, Tirlemen, Sinful Spoils. So yeah, Sinful Spoils really made some huge difference for a lot of decks post Agov. There's a lot of decks that got buffed from the Sinful Spoils. Even the likes of something like Tri-Brigade and other decks like Adventure Synchron, they also benefited from Sinful Spoils. And there's a lot of decks, even Dragon Maid. So I think Agov Box is really insane. It really gave light for a lot of decks on the format. But the problem is it also made the meta decks more powerful on that regard. And then next we have another Rescue Ace, third place from James. So another Sinful Spoils Rescue Ace. This time he placed the Impulse. I think Impulse is kinda underwhelming for me. I don't really see the value on playing Impulse right now on Rescue Ace. Maybe I'm missing something, but on my decklist of Rescue Ace, I prefer not to play the Impulse package and the Fire Attacker anymore. I don't just see the value on these cards anymore on Rescue Ace because the deck is very much consistent, and I would love to play more hand traps over Impulse or Fire Attacker. And then next we have Branded. So Branded has been kinda falling off lately. Players like Hasegawa and Lin on OCG reps on the World Championship preferred to play Branded on the World Championship. I think they have thought that Branded is the best deck for the tournament, but Polly Aronson and others who played Dragon Link beg to differ and prove that Dragon Link could be, and I think that's the best deck for Worlds format recently. So on the OCG, Branded has been falling off because sometimes Branded can be lackluster when you don't draw the proper cards to build your board. Branded feels very underwhelming on some occasions. That's the problem with the deck. It kinda loses to itself on my experience. I don't know if you're getting what I'm saying, but yeah, I think Branded can be lackluster on some occasions. And then next we have Makassar Duelist Community Tournament. First here we have Resonator, RDA. So many players are not buy or bought on playing this deck because you need to have your Earthbound package to elevate the ceiling of the deck. I think this decklist is pretty much budget compared to the usual RDA decklist with Earthbound because Earthbound cards are very expensive. And yeah, I think Arlan really made a good job on tapping using a kinda budget version of RDA. And then next we have another Resonator Archfiend, this time with the Earthbound cards. This is what I'm saying. This is the expensive version of RDA. Also with Bestials as well. Maybe he wants to have value on playing Saronir and the Lubellion here. And also plays Raigeki on the side deck. Many players on the TCG played Raigeki on the Worlds format. I don't see their logic on playing Raigeki. Maybe the expected Vanquish Shoal on that tournament. But for me, I don't rate Raigeki that much on the current format. I feel like Raigeki is just for Vanquish Shoal, to be honest. And many decks are not afraid of Raigeki, to be honest. And then next we have Mekanko with Horus Engine. Really interesting. With Horus, you can maximize your rank 8 place using this Horus engine on the deck, you now have opportunity to play something like Harbinger or Photon Lord to give you negations and utility on your board. So it's a very wise choice to play the Horus engine on Mikango. And then next we have another tabletop gapo, ranking tournament. At first here we have champion Michael Beza with Sprite Evil Twin. So I don't really see Sprite Evil Twin tops lately, but I guess I get the logic on playing this deck because this deck can play a lot of hand traps. You can already see here, he plays a plethora of hand traps. He plays Ghost Mourner, DD Crow, Wailer, Bell, and Ghost Ogre, and Imperm, and Ash, and Maxi. So you now have a lot of tools to work around on dealing against the format because on Philippines, it's a really diverse format right now. We already know that those Rescue Ace Sinful and Trilament Sinful are the top decks right now in the format. But on the shape of our metagame here in the Philippines, it's pretty diverse, to be honest. Many players don't have the budget to buy the best decks on the format, so they just stick with their decks, to be honest. So yeah, if you're playing a mid-range deck on the Philippines, I think you have a lot of advantage over your colleagues because playing a lot of hand traps on a diverse format gives you a lot of value on it because you have a lot of cards to answer different circumstances and different problems on the metagame. So yeah, I think that's the great value on playing mid-range decks on the Philippines metagame in particular. And then next we have Bob Marsan, champion with Purely. So pretty standard deck list of Purely. You can never go wrong with playing those hand traps like Veiler and Imperm on Purely. I'm surprised he doesn't play Desires. I would love to play Desires here, but I also get the logic on not playing Desires because Desires can sometimes banish your important cards here on Purely and can also hurt your grind game. So yeah, it's pretty reasonable not to play Desires. And on his side deck, he plays the Spooky Dogwood. Maybe he is worried on playing on time, so he wants to have countermeasures on games going long. And then next we have Philip Zapata with Dynamorphia. So Dynamorphia also gained traction lately with the introduction of Arias. The deck got more faster and more resilient. They can now have options to play trap cards on their first turn, and it's a very huge deal for Dynamorphia. Setting up your Rexstorm very early on the game can give you a lot of advantage on the early stages of the game, and also the deck got more consistent with the Arias as well. So yeah, the only problem of this deck is also the time as well. If your opponents are pretty slow playing or not that familiar on your deck and they kept on asking questions about your effects on the Dynamorphia, you will definitely struggle. But Philip Zapata won the tournament with only 11 side deck cards as well. Really interesting. And then next we have Joshua Coriano again. What is this? Fourth time, fifth time of Joshua Coriano tapped on this report. He's been really popping off lately on their tournaments and also on Kaido Willis as well. So I think it's the same decklist of Vanquishol on the early review of his decklist. Plays triple Droll and Lockbird. I kinda expect this because Vanquishol doesn't have that much of answers against very heavy combo decks. They don't have that much of firepower when going second to break boards. So yeah, playing Droll and Lockbird is very optimal to stop those heavy combo decks from snowballing out of control. And then next we have Martin Alcantara again with his Megalith Drytron. It's the third time, I assume, with his decklist on this report. And then next we have Grand Coliseum Board Game Cafe weekly tournament. We now have another Vanquishol here. I think, it's Vanquishol with Infernoble. So yeah, I think it's the other way around. Infernoble Vanquishol. The Vanquishol are just only engine here for his decklist. So yeah, it's a pretty explosive version of Vanquishol. He also plays Batlin Boxer. Yeah, it's really interesting. It's the first time that I have seen this deck list, to be honest, and I don't know how this works, to be honest, but I can see that this can make some respectable board and can also go second. He plays the access code here that can definitely destroy some boards. And then next, we have Orders of the Willis and Albay ranking tournament. At first here we have Ellie, another good friend of mine from Kaido Willis as well, plays Unchained. So Unchained is a very popular deck on the Philippines because it's a budget deck, to be honest. You don't have that much of expensive cards going on here with the deck. You just need to have Zeus as your board wipe card, and also these DD rank 6 monsters are the only expensive things here on the Unchained. So a pretty solid budget deck and a very strong one at that regard as well. And then next we have Boss Khalid, Dark World, first runner up. So Dark World is a very underrated deck for me. If Dark World gets snowballing out of control, I think this deck can really beat any of the decks right now in the format by their sheer power on going first. And also play Skill Drain on the side deck. I don't know if it's side deck or main deck. I think it's main deck. Skill Drain on main deck. It's really interesting because you have a lot of big attack cards on this Dark World. So yeah, you can just beat down your opponent. And the next we have Kenji Runic Control. So Runic Control will never get out of style, to be honest. Just that play safe, playing of game, and banishes cards, decks out your opponent, gains life points towards the end of the game. So yeah, I think Runic is a very staple deck for many players for a very long time now. And the next we have Branded from Sanjay. Branded SP plays the Gimmick Puppet on this list. I'm not too sure about that. Many players doesn't want to play the Branded Expulsion and the Gimmick Puppet, but I also think that it is also a good win condition on Branded. And then next we have Pageo LU, Sando Strong Prize Tournament. We have Milo Leo here with his Tearlaments, Sinful Spoils. So 42 card main deck, I think it's a pretty standard deck list of Sinful Spoils, Tearlaments. Plays Forbidden Droplet on the side deck. I think I really respect this option from him. You need to have cards to do something when going against heavy combo decks that has a lot of negations like Barone and Savage. Even Rescue Ace can play the synchro monsters like Dragster and Savage and Barone that can have Omni Negates on their side of the field. So yeah, I think Droplet can answer that. And also Super Poly, very strong right now in the format. There's a lot of dark attribute monsters that are running around on the format. And it also helped that he's playing the Madragon of the Swamp and Dragastapelia on his extra deck. So yeah, I think Super Poly is a very worth notable card on the side deck of Tearlaments right now. And then next, we have Jump Kokoro Tournament Report. We have Ronit Abobon with Yosenju Nemlereria. Wow, very interesting. It's the first time that I have seen Yosenju top for a very long time. I don't know how the deck functions, to be honest. Maybe the deck can go second because he plays Lightning Storm and Raigeki and Talents and Dark Hole as well. Dark Hole, very interesting. I don't see many players playing this Dark Hole anymore on this list. And his side deck are pretty much focused on going first with consistent cards like Tenki and Summon Limit to control the tempo of the game. So yeah, I think it's his countermeasure when his opponents preferred him to go first with Summon Limit and Torrential Tribute at his disposal that can surprise them if players will think that he is only a going second deck. And plays the Dark Hole Dragon, very interesting. And the next we have very good standing, I don't know this tournament, Mingo Tournament Report, August 13, first place here we have Labib Dinosaur. So pretty standard decks of Dinosaur. Plays the Animation Chronicle Pterodactyl and the Fusion as well, and plays Scrap Raptor. 42 card main deck, plays Droll and Lockbird on the main deck. It's a shame that he doesn't play Crossout Designator. I would play Crossout here, to be honest, because the deck is very prone to Maxi and sometimes Ash, and Droll as well, very devastating against Dinosaur. I don't know why he's not playing Droll, Crossout Designator, because he's already playing one copy of Droll Lockbird. And the next we have second place, Ivan with Rescue Ace. So I think it's a pretty standard decklist of Rescue Ace. I think it's been a staple for very many players right now. And then next, we have Bandung Duelist weekly tournament. At first here we have Ukup with Tearlaments. So this time without the Sinful Spoils package, just the usual Tearlaments. I'm really tired of seeing Tearlaments, to be honest. I have been seeing Tearlaments for roughly 2 years now. So yeah. And the next we have another dinosaur here from Tigar. Plays Druid Worm on the main deck. Really odd. I don't see why he's main decking Druid Worm. Maybe he just wants to answer the Tearlaments matchup, but it's pretty odd for me. Plays the Lost World on the main deck. 2 copies at that extent. And the next we have Rai with Sinful Spoils Rescue Ace. Plays the Nemesis Corridor on the main deck. Maybe he wants to have Colossus, because Colossus is very insane against Purely. We can never deny that, because Purely relies on adding mechanics. So Colossus is instantly game over for them. And the next we have TG, DIABELLEST or Sinful Spoils. So yeah, this also a deck that benefited from Sinful Spoils. The deck got more powerful with a better ceiling now. They can ultimately play a lot of synchro monsters, especially plays Calamity on the extra deck. I think Calamity will get banned on the future, because there's a lot of decks that are maximizing on playing Calamity, and it's a warning that or a red flag that Calamity might get banned on the future formats for me. And the next we have A-Card weekly tournament. This is the fave decklist from Mikdad with Pendulum Magician. I think this deck got support as well from the Agov, yeah, if I'm remembering correctly. This deck got also better from that set. And we have Dito. He plays Ninja. So Ninja has been quite under the radar as well for a very long time now. I think Ninja is a very solid rogue deck option. Many players don't know what to counter or how to interact with the deck, to be honest. I'm also a victim of that, because I have played against a very strong Ninja player here in the Philippines named Aldias Davesa. I think he's top 32 player on the Duelist Cup Philippines recently. And at first I don't know what to do against the Ninja. I'm just playing Lich on that moment. I just Solemn Judgment, the normal summon of Ninja, because I really don't know how to choke this deck out. And then next we have Sky Striker from Tegu. So many players in Japan really love to play Sky Striker. On recent meta tier list, Sky Striker is still relevant. But to be honest, I don't see why is that tier deck on the metagame. I don't really rate Sky Striker that much on the format. Yeah, they have Camellia now, so they are pretty much more powerful and better from before. But I don't what do you call this, rate that Sky Striker can compete against something like Rescue Ace Sinful Spoils or Tearlaments Sinful Spoils, even Purely. I think the deck is very power crept at this moment, and it really needs to have a good pilot in order to compete using Sky Striker, to be honest. And next we have Metagame Malang tournament report. We have Arizal, Rika San Avalon. So I think this is the 4th or 3rd Rika on our report here. I think Rika is a very staple deck for many players now. especially this deck got some limelight on the World Championship, and Jessica Robinson as well really did a good job on playing Rika San Avalon over the past couple of months or year. And the next we have LABRYN from Shyful. So 41 card main deck, plays transaction rollback, nothing too extravagant. Plays the epidemic virus on the main deck. I think it's instant win against Purely and Runic at this point. And I also like the fact that he plays Lava Golem instead of Sphere Mode, because some decks doesn't extend that much on their board. So I think Lava Golem is fine on the format. And the next we have Aldean siya with Dinosaur. So I think it's the same decklist from earlier. Yeah. And the next we have Adam, Super Heavy Samurai. So this is what I recognize as a deck that is pretty capable or perfect at that regard, because it can play good going second cards. It can play Kaijus, Kurikara. It is also good on going first. It can set up negations like Savage and Barone, and it has a lot of space for hand trap like Ash, Maxi, Veiler, and anything like Ghost Ogre or Ghost Mourner. So yeah, it really resembles for me like Tri Brigade, that it has a lot of good space to play a lot of hand traps, and can also go first with Appaloosa and Revolt. So yeah, those are the decks that I favor to play. And the next we have Duelist Seribo Songhai Card Game Community ranking tournament, weekly tournament rather. At first here we have Vanquish Shoal. So yeah, Vanquish Shoal has been really dominant lately. We have seen Joshua Oriano tops with Vanquish Shoal earlier, and we also have seen a fair share amount of Vanquish Shoal tops on our report on 2 week span of August, the first week and second week. So yeah, I think Vanquish Shoal will only get better, and I think Vanquish Shoal is a deck that can play around Maxi. That's the biggest factor for me, because they can just rack off Vanquisher Pass when they're playing around Maxi, and also has space for hand traps like Shifter that really hurts a lot of deck right now in the format like Tearlaments and Purely, and can also play Floodgates like there can be only one to stun their opponents. So yeah, I think this is the better version of Sky Striker right now for me. I think Vanquish Shoal is that deck that surpasses the Sky Striker grind game and technical plays right now on the format. I also like from Parsetya Maulana that he plays Cosmic Cyclone, because I think Vanquish Shoal really needs to answer back row decks. I think Vanquish Shoal has a very bad matchup against Runic and some back row decks on the format like Subterror and Lich. And the next we have Evil Eye, yeah, with Artifact Sight on the main deck. Really interesting. I think this decklist is pretty much focused on going first with Summon Limit and Sanctum on the main deck. And the next we have 60 card good stuff. Yeah, very absurd decklist here from Aditya. Plays very handful engines on the deck. And the next, so that's pretty much about it. I think that sums up our Uncrowned Kings local metagame report, decklist review, and if you have time, you can check out our page on Facebook with Uncrowned Kings local metagame report. You can just search it, and thanks for watching this video, and hit the notification bell if you want to get more updated on my following contents, and hit the subscribe button if you're not yet subscribed on my YouTube channel. So see you on the next one.